For this assignment, I wanted to focus on ethics and some common business negotiation situations. I won't go into a lot of detail about negotiating process, but more about the ethical situations that can arise when engaged in these business situations. Specifically, we will discuss ethical considerations when negotiating mergers and acquisitions and procurement contracts. First, what are the benefits of mergers and acquisitions? They should increase value to shareholders by paying existing shareholders a premium price for their shares and creating a more valuable enterprise. It should also increase benefit to consumers by lowering prices or offering better quality or service as a result. Lastly, employees should benefit from better compensation and benefits due to a larger organization. The goal of the acquiring firm, in order to act ethically, should be to maximize shareholder value, limit the number of lost employees as a result, and reduce conflicts of interest. In the negotiating process, they may need to offer severance and other benefits to top management involved in the negotiation process in order to ensure fair bargaining from the firm being acquired. For the managers of the firm being acquired, they must do their fiduciary duty and seek to do the best thing for investors. However, the agency problem exists where there is a conflict of interest because these managers are likely to lose their jobs, and what's best for the shareholders is not always best for the managers of the firm being acquired. In an article I read titled "Some Overlooked Ethical Issues in Acquisitions and Mergers" by Robert McGee, two ethical schools of thought were presented. The first is utilitarian ethics, which essentially weighs the good versus the bad in each decision, and where the good outweighs the bad, the decision is considered ethical. Second is the rights approach, which states if anyone's rights are violated, the decision is unethical. Both of these should be considered in most business negotiations. Now let's look at two conflicts of interest that can occur when negotiating mergers and acquisitions. The first is green mail payments, which are essentially bribes by the firm that would be acquired to stop the acquisition. This will keep the managers in their jobs and will make the acquiring firm happy for a short while, but ultimately the shareholders' rights are violated because the acquisition would have created the most value. The second is the golden parachute, which is a benefit package or severance for top managers to reduce the hardship of the takeover and reduce the agency problem. This is common and often adds value to the stock price when present. However, the package can't be so sweet that it creates the opposite effect and top executives don't get the best price for their shareholders. The goal of the golden parachute is to make sure managers do their fiduciary duty and get the best deal for the shareholders. My thoughts to ensure ethical practices in mergers and acquisitions is to put the interests of shareholders first, then consumers, and then employees of both firms. Sometimes you will have to put employees' interests higher to maximize firm value for the shareholders. Secondly, are both sides being lawful in the negotiating process, and is anyone's rights being violated? If the answer is yes to being lawful and no to anyone's rights being violated, there is a good chance the negotiation is being conducted ethically. The second business situation is the negotiation of procurement contracts. The goal of every procurement negotiation should be to get the best quality or service for the lowest price in the most timely manner. Most large corporations have a purchasing department and policies and procedures to make sure they get the best deals and business is conducted ethically. The first ethical dilemma in procurement negotiations involves the rule of reciprocity. A salesperson offers me a gift or bribe, so I do business with them. Even worse, when bribes are used as leverage to negotiate better deals or better bribes from another firm. Having trained purchasing professionals can greatly reduce the possibility of this occurring, but often purchasing occurs by department heads and managers that are not under the umbrella of the purchasing department. The second ethical consideration is not doing due diligence and getting the best deal to maximize shareholder value. The possibility of this is also greatly increased when purchasing happens outside of the purchasing department. In order to avoid committing ethics violations when entering into procurement contract negotiations, an agent should be well prepared. A clear objective should be defined, and any areas that don't have a clear objective should not be negotiated until those objectives are defined and a negotiation strategy has been prepared. This will prevent getting a bad deal for shareholders. My thoughts on remaining ethical in procurement contracts are to first choose your style based on the situation. Transaction style is best to maximize value in one-time large transactions, but most often the balanced concern style is the best style when entering into business contracts. Secondly, make sure to perform due diligence and be well prepared prior to entering into contract negotiations. And lastly, make sure you have the authority to make certain concessions and don't agree to anything you cannot follow through on. In conclusion, there is often an agency problem that exists in business negotiations when working for a corporation. When the person negotiating on behalf of the firm doesn't have a large stake because it is not their money, they may look to add personal stakes for themselves or negotiate differently because it isn't their money. So, in order to maintain ethical practices in business negotiations, put the interest of shareholders at the top of the list. Make sure you are negotiating within the laws of where the negotiation is taking place, as well as your home country if different. And make sure no one's rights are being violated by your actions.